What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Reading, Writing, and Rain. This is me documenting my writer's journey, and today, this will be a reading vlog. It's not reading a book. It's really me revisiting my project for NaNoWrioMo 2022. So and you know what? I do not remember if it was last year or the year before, but I started a project that was this big sprawling holiday story with like 40 people in the cast, and I've scaled it down, and I kind of set that aside and started working on my current official work in progress. But because I am preparing for Nano and I'm working on this former project, I'll be calling it Project Yee. Yeah, so that I'm working on that for this upcoming Nano and getting myself a little bit more familiar with it, running across the characters again, character bios, a little bit that I did write already, and the story itself, just to kind of dust the cobwebs off. So with this former project that's now going to be my new project, I organized it in such a way that it's easy enough to get through. And I say that as someone who has been pantsing my whole life, and just relatively recently in the last few years, I've come around to kind of organizing and planning. Now with this particular story, unlike any of the others I've done, the timeline is relatively short. So the way it's broken up is, it's still acts, 1, 2, 3, climax and all that, but the way it's structured is more or less to the days of the week. It happens during a holiday break for 3 college students. So over the course of like 9 to 11 days or so. And it has helped with organizing the story. But the physical copy that I have of the handwritten notes and outlines and everything, like all of that, I thought I lost. So I have a Scrivener document that has this project in it, and that's not an issue. But with technology, anything can happen. So I had a hard copy. I have spent the last 2 days tearing my home apart, looking for a project that was right in my face. Man, okay, so I put it in this little folder. I had my different acts, different story beats and whatnot. Then I have the physical versions that I wrote out, and I think because I've been away from it so long, I had it in a place that I thought was safe, which is, it's in my home, but I forgot. Oh my God, that is dangerous, and I'm usually much better about this. So what I'm doing, I'll be going through the physical as well as the Scrivener document to kind of look over the story and see it with these brand new fresh eyes, because I haven't touched this project in about probably all of this year. I think the last time I did work on this was in December of 2021. So yeah, we're gonna see. So I've spent quite some time reviewing my outline. And so one thing that I have done this go round that I haven't done with previous books is color coded. So with a lot of my stories in the past, I've just kind of did a general outline, beginning, middle, end, climax, scenes and whatnot. But because I have 3 different main characters, and it's essentially 3 different storylines that kind of converge towards the end, I had to keep track of everything. And it just made the most sense to break it up by color. What I'm realizing is I enjoyed this story. Like, of course it's mine, but stepping away from it, I think if I'm going to take anything from this reading vlog, it's stepping away from your story, though it is recommended. Finish your story, step away for a bit, come back and edit it with fresh eyes. That is truly like a really good thing to do, because at one point, I found myself just kind of reading through it and just enjoying it. It wasn't reading it to like fix any errors or find anything wrong. I just enjoyed it. And I see some things that I do want to change. So with the characters, there's one character whose misbelief or lie is that they are only the things that they have been perceived to be throughout their childhood to adulthood. And going through this story, they're going through this process of self-declaration. Like they're learning more about themselves and pushing that envelope of this is the trope that you've fallen into in the family, and this is where you'll always stay. And with this particular storyline, I initially had it kind of end or be involved with a element of romance that I myself don't even particularly care for. Like a professor being with a student. For me, that is old. It's time. It's like, okay, what are we doing? I had that as a plot point. I was like, well, this just feels stale, and it felt like a placeholder for something else that was a bit bigger, a different type of story that could be told. So that was changed. But again, reading through this, knowing that I wrote it, and then getting those fresh eyes for the details that I don't remember writing, I just remember the bigger picture. Like, it just gave me such a new appreciation for the story. And I'm excited to dive back into it. So when Nano this year, Lord, I'm ready. And even with the story, I actually wrote more than I realized. I think I am at 5,000 words, which I did not, I forgot. I remember that I went through, got the outline together, wrote a little bit, and I was much further in the story than I realized, even just going off of memory. So I'm like, why did I not follow through with this series? But another thing with my style of outlining for this book, it helps that this is not some long sprawling story that's like over the course of a year. We have the 3 different characters and a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. So in that regard, it's a very dense story. But when you're looking at just like beat for beat, we're literally going day for day for day. Events that happen this day that pile up to lead to this day and whatnot. So in short, I'm just more excited and slightly impressed with myself about the story that I have in front of me. Also, with this story, there are a couple scenes that I think I want to move around and some I want to add. That goes back to stepping away from your story for a while and then coming back at it with fresh eyes, because there are a lot of moving parts, and for the most part, everything that I have, I want to keep. But there's a few things that I feel like need to be added to make other scenes make sense. Going through this will technically be my still kind of first draft, because though I have 5K words down, it's still the first time I'm like going through this story completely. But I've found a few things that need to be added, and I'm not really worried about word count on this one. So in that regard, I guess I'll be a nano rebel. But where I am now, wherever this story ends is where it ends, whatever the word count is. And then we can kind of tweak it later. I have a tendency to be long-winded when writing, and so I'll probably go over any regular or genre-specific word count. But I'm so excited. I'm very excited to get into this story. And it's separate from the story itself, the characters. So a lot of folks come up with their characters, maybe do a design, photos. I think a program I've been seeing a lot lately has been Artbreeder. I've looked at the site. I haven't gotten into it. I don't know that it's for me, but I know that a lot of people make their character design that way. Me, I just pulled some pictures offline of folks who I thought fit the aesthetic or the look of that particular person if I'm just scrolling through different sites. And even stepping away from the Scrivener document for so long and then coming back looking at the placeholder like images, I'm like, man, I was really onto something. And having this story be where it is now, coming from where it was before, this story started off as a holiday novel that would have had 8 or 9 main characters in a cabin, these artsy students dealing with like being away for the holidays. It was possibly going to have a murder, then maybe not. And looking at those earlier plans and seeing how it was scaled down to these 3 siblings, like we've come so far. And all in all, I'm excited to write this story, and I am hoping that I can get this done because I want to get this out. Maybe more so than my current work in progress, though I will never admit that again, and ignore what I just With this story, it would be contemporary fiction. Heavy romantic elements, which I think that's the lane that I'm in, because a lot of my stories are just day in the life, contemporary stories about these folks going about their day and running into drama and stress and whatnot. But it has those very heavy elements of like romance. Even though you may or may not get a happy ending, it's infused in there. So I'd say it's a contemporary fiction with heavy romantic elements. So with this story, it is 3 storylines about these 3 siblings returning home for the holiday and the different trials and tribulations they deal with from being away at college and then back for the first time after, the first semester. With that in mind, something that you would think would be a bit more beat for beat, this happens, and this happens, gets to be so tangled up by like the second act. And I was reviewing the outline and the different scenes, the different things that need to happen. I was like, oh, this has things, twists and turns and plot twists, and it's like watching a rom-com with your standard miscommunication, will they, won't they, but then also throw in like, how did the mom know that the guy from the bus was the ex-boyfriend of the sister? Who it's like, I'm reviewing a lot of those parts of the story. In the midst of going through Nano, I'm going to really focus on, for these last, I believe, 2 weeks of PREPTOBER going into Nano, getting these storylines together and trimming out the things that are absolutely unnecessary. That is something as an author that I have to really zero in on, because what is it? Kill Your Darlings. I love every single aspect, but I'm older. Had you asked me this maybe 5 years ago, I'd be like, no, everything needs to stay. But now I'm at a point where I understand that though some things may be great, you may want to keep, they have to be cut out because it's getting in the way. Even in my current work in progress, that's not the Nano project. I believe I was on TikTok and I mentioned that I'm afraid that this whole like scene that I wrote, and I wrote it a few days ago, and I've been kind of sitting on it because of course this is my Nano project. I'm going to push through with the second installment of this story, but I am scared that particular scene is useless. Like when I sit back and I think about everything I have so far and where I'm going from here on out, I truly believe taking out the last part of that scene does not change the story. It actually introduces something that was kind of hinted at earlier, but I don't know if it's even necessary for the story. It would be more like a D plot, like something very minor. And so I think I'm going to keep it in, but just make it all that text red, bright red, so I know to like maybe take that out. But I'm so mad. Well, it happens, but I really think that does not matter. I'm like, it's not needed, and I could possibly use it somewhere else, so I'm not like heartbroken, but that's like a good 300 words that is like not needed at all. So, oh God. That's what I feel about this story. Though I am happy to revisit it, I'm having a good time going through it, and I have plans going forward. I know that I'm going to have to be so diligent about cutting things that are not necessary. So this has been my Project Yee reading vlog. I am happy to dive into this story. There's still a little bit more work that I need to do on my current work in progress and to prepare for completing this one for Nano. I have a few words logged already. I've revisited the outline. I'm kind of getting in to learn and love the characters again. And I am so happy. I'm looking forward to this Nano. Let me know, what are you guys doing? What are you all doing to prepare? Do you have your snacks laid out? Did you come up with your story yet? Have you outlined? Is this a project you've already started? Is this a project you're starting brand new? And then, are you going to be a Nano rebel? Are you going to rebel, or are you going to hit those 50K? Leave all those answers in the comments and let me know, how's things going for you. And I'm going to probably take myself on a writer's retreat just to get away and spend some time writing separate of my normal, regular home space. So maybe I'll document that. Either way, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, hit those likes, talk to me in the comments. I appreciate you all for watching this far. And please make sure to tune into the next few videos, some of the videos that are in the past. We're going to knock out this Nano, and whether we win or lose, we're going to put a heavy dent into whatever project you're working on. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Please read something, write something, and come back and tell me, Rhayne, and we out.